Assalamu alaikum. This is Naaila, and this is our monthly, bi-weekly session of Open Question and Answer. I am so glad to be here with you again today. And again, my name is Naaila. You can find me on the web at www.thatclaycouple.com. And so I've already got questions for today, so I'm going to jump right in and I'm going to answer the questions for today. And I want you to let me know who's here, where are you from. I am in Atlanta, Georgia, in the United States. And let's see, it's about 9 a.m. here, but I want to know where you are at in the world. And remember, if you have some questions, I'm going to try to get to everyone. I already have a few ready and prepared and in mind for today. So let me know where you are, say hello, and shout out to your city, okay? And so we're going to get started here. I'm going to go to my first question. All right, Assalamu alaikum. After 2 months, I'm getting married. And my intended, he works in shipping. That means he has to live there 9 months for the year. And we would have to chat with each other. But I don't have any feelings for him. Alhamdulillah, he loves me, but I don't know what the issue is with me. I feel so lost by thinking he will go after another for marriage, and I will feel alone. Please suggest something. As I feel so alone. He cannot leave his job. What should I do? And I can't say no to this relationship. Please suggest something, how to keep myself busy. Well, I'm sure that you're probably very busy with overthinking and thinking about this and thinking about that and what could I do about this and what could I do about that. But I want to warn you about something. You're talking out of both sides because I hear you say, I don't have feelings for him, and I don't want to feel alone, and I can't say no to this relationship, and I don't want him to go and marry someone else, but I feel so alone, but I don't have any feelings for him. You see, it's like, okay, I don't really want this relationship, but what about this? And I know he can't leave his job. But what I keep hearing, I've heard a couple of times in here, is alone. And when you're single, you are going to have feelings of loneliness. And that can be very hard. But you know, it's like being hungry. And then, you know, you want something to eat. And then you don't enjoy the discomfort, rather, of being hungry. Well, because there's some discomfort with those feelings. It's just like fasting. There's the discomfort of the hunger and the thirst that comes with fasting. And feeling lonely is one of the natural things that comes with being single. And that really might be where your fear is, because you said it more than once. You said, as I will feel so alone. And I can't say no to this relationship. And so my recommendation to you is, regardless of what happens with this relationship, is that you learn to adjust and enjoy the comfort of yourself. That being by yourself doesn't have to mean loneliness. You know, there's a lot of peacefulness that can be found in solitude. And perhaps you will be able to find some peacefulness and solitude and enjoy your own company, regardless of whether or not you are in a relationship. Because I am hearing just some very strong fears about, or definitely discomfort and you know, not wanting to go that route in regard to being alone. So that would be what my recommendation would be. Okay, so we've got India here, and it's 6:40 in the evening. Assalamu alaikum, Akbar. I'm glad to have you here. India is a long way. I work with families from from India, and they've taught me so much about the culture. So I appreciate your being here well, I was going to say this morning, but it's not this morning for you. It's this evening, isn't it? Okay, so I am going to go to the next question. I've grown up with quite a few hardships, and my father and mother got divorced a year ago. And I now work for my family and I study full time. I feel so alone at times. I live with my grandmother at the moment. Neither my mother and father realize what stress I'm going through. I still love them a lot. My question is, what are my mother and father's responsibility toward the children after the divorce? Wow, this is really serious, isn't it? And you know, this person, I don't know how old they are, because they say they work and they go to school. And they could be a teenager or they could be a young adult, which would definitely make a difference in my response. But because I don't know, I'm going to answer this in very general terms. What are the mother and father's responsibility toward the children after the divorce? You know, a mother and father's responsibility toward their children, it changes over time as you get older. However, there are some things that there's a duty, a natural duty to prepare you for. And it's not after the divorce, it's before the divorce. And this is something that very often parents forget about, that your children, they do have their own experience in regard to a marriage being dissolved. The same way that they have an experience when you're together, they have an experience when you're not. So I want to say to all of us, to anyone considering marriage, and for our parents who may be here, and I pray no one gets a divorce, but just know that your children are being impacted by the decisions that you make, the good ones and the not so good ones. And so what are the responsibilities? You know, I don't know if your parents really know what to do. And sometimes that's one of the reasons why people don't do anything, because they don't know what to do. And so what I would say to you is to reach out to someone so that you might be able to talk about how you feel. You may even want to begin with one of your parents, because they may be having some of the same concerns from a different aspect, but some of the same concerns and feelings that you do. I mean, because they've also gone through a divorce. This is a different lifestyle for them also. And so as a family, the two of you could have some dialogue on what is it that they're going through. How is this new for you? Well, how is this changing your life? And what is it doing for me? And how can we help one another? And that might be one of the first places that you may want to start. Because even if your parents, you know, happily chose a divorce, and people say, how do you do that? There are people who do believe that divorce is better than staying together. And so even if it was believed that the divorce was best, it doesn't also mean that they're going to be happy about it. And that can be a struggle. And they probably have their very own strong opinions. And they may be a source of support that you didn't even consider. So let's start there and let us know what happens, okay? All right. So I'm going to peep and I'm going to see who we've got. We've got South Africa here. Okay, so where can I find more about Allah? I'm Christian and I'm interested. After I finish, Edgar, I'm definitely going to answer that question. I do believe that you definitely come to the best place. You're at About Islam, and this is one of the great places where you can get a whole lot of information. And so all of us here, we're going to be praying for you, and I'm going to ensure that you get some information. And what I'll do is I'll post it here for you after this question and answer. So we've got India and we've got South Africa. All right, and Shadazi has joined us. Thank you. I appreciate you coming. Assalamu alaikum. And I am going to the next question. I got married 2 years ago, but we always had a troubled marriage due to interference of my mother-in-law, and my husband never tried to understand my situation, due to which I was left with no option but to separate from him by way of Kula. A Kula is the woman seeking the divorce. It was then that my husband realized his mistake, and he said he wanted to stay with me, and he agreed that he was not fulfilling his duties toward me, and I agreed to give him a second chance. That's good. This is good. But it was my in-laws who said that we should part ways, and it was a right decision by them to separate a couple who wanted to stay together. Somehow, I'm finding it difficult to move ahead, because my husband agreed with his parents' decision. I don't know, but I feel that I still want to reconcile with my husband. And I prayed to Allah that I would have my relationship with my husband. And our relationship, our marriage, it didn't even last for 2 years. And I still want reconciliation. Okay, I just lost it. Let me pull it back up. I still want reconciliation. Is it right? What should I do? You know, I see that this is a young lady and she's very young. She's only 27 years old. And so I know that this can be painful and discouraging, you know, and disappointing. And, you know, one of the units, a family unit that we are taught to have faith in and to trust and to go to for help. This is a unit that you may feel like has betrayed you. And that's a very sincere and a valid feeling. And is it right for you to pray for reconciliation? I would never tell someone what their prayers should consist of. If that is what you want to use your prayer to Allah for, you have every right to it. I know that Allah is the turner of hearts, and all He has to do is say be, and it is. So I would never tell you what to do with your prayer. Is it right? If this is what you believe would be right, yes. But I will say this. You do not know what your outcomes are going to be. And so, while you are praying, while you are feeling what it is that you feel, you are a very young woman. And so I would suggest that you also ensure that you continue your life and that you occupy your time with interests that move you forward, because you don't know when something is going to happen or if something is going to happen. You know, this young man, he may seek to return to the marriage, or he may opt to marry someone else. We don't know. But those are the things that are not in your control. But what is in your control is what you do with your life from here. Inshallah, that will be of some assistance for you. Okay, so I'm going to go to next question. Assalamu alaikum. I met a lady online who was separated due to her husband who used her for money. And I gave her some Islamic counseling, and she had changed her lifestyle, and she chooses to be a better Muslim. Alhamdulillah. I respect her because I know how much she struggled in her life. Due to this, her family is very angry at her, and they did whatever they could do, including removing her niqab. And this made me so upset, and I gave her a promise that I would marry her. And I was a student at the time, so I decided to talk to my parents. Now, she still struggles a lot for the deen, and her family dislikes her due to her religion. And I spoke to my parents, and they said that they didn't want a divorced woman for me. I tried a lot for their acceptance, but they won't allow it. So I'm unable to marry her with their support. Everyone doesn't like her, and so I told her to forget everything and leave me. And she's not ready, as the situation is tough to handle. And I'm really afraid for my deen, but I can't upset my parents. And she's asking for me to make good on my promise, and I can't deliver it. Will Allah forgive me, and what steps should I take? And should I marry her without my parents' support? You know, those family ties and those family connections, they're very hard to break away from. And so what I would suggest to you is your first question, will Allah forgive me? You know, Allah gives us 99 names to call him by. And one of them is the forgiving. We know that Allah is most forgiving. He is Ar-Rahman, he is Ar-Rahim, he is so merciful. And so, yes, I do believe that there is a very good possibility that Allah would forgive you if you said something and you were unable to keep your word. You know, definitely go through the steps of, you know, requesting forgiveness. Should you marry her without your parents' support? That would be a decision that only you would have to make, that only you can make. Because in making this decision, you also know that you cannot control your parents' response. And would you be willing to be married to someone without having your parental interaction, without having your parents' support, without having your parents possibly choose not to come to your nikah? I don't know. I don't know what they would choose, but they would have a lot of options. And I don't know if you would be ready to live with what some of them are. However, I also know that your parents, their hearts could turn. Allah is definitely the turner of hearts. But this is the part that you don't have any control over. You know, very often we want, this is what I want, and I want the people around me to want what I want. No, that's adulting. And when you're an adult, life doesn't happen this way. So the key thing here is for you to think about the decisions that you're making and the results and the consequences that come with them. Just had this beautiful burst of sunlight to just come in through the window. So I'm going to keep talking, but I can't, you know, had to acknowledge that. Woo! Look at the sunlight. MashaAllah. Isn't Allah great? Okay, so I'm going to lean in so I can see who is here. I see Edgar has got some company on getting some of his questions answered and some explanations. Okay, so I'm going to go to the next question. I'm 28 years old and I'm suffering from depression and extreme anxiety, and I'm worried every time. I'm worried about my wife's past character. My wife, she used to go out and she took an oath that she wouldn't do those things anymore. And on our wedding night, I had no proof except for what it is that she told me. And I've been checking her emails and I see that she's been chatting with someone, and I'm deeply hurt. I've even started smoking from the situation, and I've tried to comfort myself, and I've tried praying to console myself. I only learned of her intimate encounters 16 days before our marriage, and I'm very hurt and I'm very disappointed, and I've been thinking about divorcing her because she's flirting right now, and she herself is also depressed. You know, I think I deserve a pious woman, and she told me she had repented for her past, but she doesn't seem to listen right now. But I feel like she lied to me, and I can't get along in my life because I feel like this will cause great shame in my family. You know, when we marry someone, it's a trust, and you want to know that I can trust you, that, you know, the things that I share with you and the things that I tell you and the things that you tell me are going to be valid, that they're going to be truthful, and that, you know, that I'm going to be able to share my life with you, and we're going to be open with one another. And when you walk into a marriage and you don't have this, it can feel so devastating, especially an early marriage, because I also noticed that the two of you only got married in December of 2017. This marriage is not even 6 months old. And so to get this information, I have no doubt that it is hurtful and perhaps even shocking because this is not who she represented herself to be. And so, I'm going to say to you a couple of things. If you choose to stay in the marriage because you can, know that this is going to require some forgiveness. And also knowing that in forgiving her, you're not going, it wouldn't be beneficial or even merciful or Islamic to be punitive, to punish her for the things that she has done. If you make the decision to forgive her, then this will be about you extending some mercy to her while you go through the process of forgiving her. Because forgiveness is more than saying, I'm sorry and I accept your apology. There are so many steps that go along with forgiveness. I also understand the shame that you're talking about with your family. And I would say to you, for what reason does your extended family have to know? There are some things that really you can choose to keep between you and your wife. Now I'm going to go back and I am going to address the things that you said in regard to the depression and the anxiety. I'm sure that because of the shock of this, you probably are very sad. And I see where you said, I've tried to pray, I've tried to do so many things to, get myself to feel better. I understand. I would suggest that you do the things that keep you functioning. Get up and go to work and do some thicker and get some exercise. And you can also consider, speaking with an elder or getting some professional help. In regard to your anxiety, I definitely again recommend thicker. You can also do some meditation. You can drink things like chamomile tea, things that would help you to relax. You can also consider going to seeing your physician and even discussing possibly medication management if your anxiety has gotten too intense. And I don't know how intense it is, but there are a lot of options that you can do to kind of get yourself together so you can think. Very often when these things happen, we're not able to come to a decision because it's just too cloudy up here. We just have too much going on, and the anxiety, causes us to feel jittery, and the depression causes us to be unable to follow through and make decisions at times. And so all of these things can play together. So you have a couple of things that you can choose to do. All right, so I'm checking. I don't see any direct questions here. And Edgar, I haven't forgotten you. I am going to make sure that you get some information. I would also highly suggest explore the website here at About Islam. It's full of information, and I know that if you stay here on the website and you read some of the information that you get, many of your questions will be answered. Watch some of the videos. I know that there are videos here on the website that are definitely for people who are not Muslim, but who may have an interest and who want to have some questions and answered. Okay, so that is going to be all for today. I'm checking with my great folks at About Islam to make sure that I haven't missed any, and seeing what else we have left. We've got our 30 minutes. Our 30 minutes is up already. No, I'll be back in 2 weeks and would love to see all of you here again. And tell your friends so that they can come back here again. I'll be back on the 21st. And I'm praying for you all. Assalamu alaikum.